Hi there, I'm Ben from the FieldWorker team, and I'm super excited to be joined by Derek Clark, founder and CEO of ClarkCare based in New Jersey today. So first of all, Derek, could you tell me a bit about your experience and why you started ClarkCare?
Well, I was in the field. What we would, what we do is we help adults with developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities. We help them to accomplish their daily goals, um, from anything to, maybe helping them shop, buy groceries, taking them to doctor's appointments, helping them with keeping up on their hygiene, different things, whatever they need. So we are in the field a lot, and we have workers that are in the field, and we are required by Medicaid, which is our funder, New Jersey Medicaid. We are required to basically put a geonet around wherever the caregiver is clocking in and clocking out to, so we can
Yes.
make sure that they're actually where they're supposed to be, and they're with the individual. So that's where a field worker comes in. That's one of the main things that they do, and uh, they customized everything to what we needed. And it's it's impossible almost to keep track of where people physically are when they're not with you. They could be in another city. So with this, basically at my fingertips, I can find out where everyone is and what they're doing, which is tremendously helpful.
Could you tell me a little bit about how maybe a typical day for someone in your team looks, especially out there in the community?
Sure. Obviously, it varies very greatly, actually, to what the individuals need. But it could be anything as simple as, again, helping them go grocery shopping, maybe cook a meal, maybe prepare some meals pre-cooked for the week, doctor's appointments, other types of appointments, to taking them to the movies, um, taking them to college courses at the local college and picking them up, like as a transportation piece. Um, it just depends on what the individual needs, and it could range pretty much anything. Um, More or less companions, and making sure that whatever they not only whatever they need to get done gets done with our help, but whatever they want to do. They want to go to the park, hang out, anything. So that's what we're there for. Most of our individuals in the population that we work with do not drive. So that's a big, it's a huge impairment to them having their freedoms and being able to go where they want, when they want. So that's a big part of what we do.
I know obviously then all the work that you and your team do makes a massive impact in your local community. I know equally in the field, in this industry, there's a lot of challenges we're faced with. So could you tell me a bit about maybe some of the challenges you've encountered so far with your agency?
Well, the main challenge is the new implementations they have for what they call EVV, the electronic visit verification, where they, like we said, they put a geonet around the service location. So in other words, if staff was picking them up at their home and then maybe dropping them off at a day program where they were to be for a few hours, everything would be mapped in there. So when the staff is supposed to be at a certain place and they clock in, it clocks in perfectly. If they're not actually there, then it won't, and then we know there may be an issue. So it's helped us tremendously keep track of what our staff what our staff is doing and where they're at. And that's really the main thing. There are a lot of abuses in this field where literally someone could be at home in their bed and they could clock in as if they were with someone that was an hour drive away, and then clock out and never go. And
Absolutely.
sometimes you're dealing with individuals who are maybe nonverbal or maybe not as verbal, and they may not be able to tell you that, hey, there was no staff here yesterday. So this is really, really great. It works great for everyone. It's one of the biggest pluses, I would say,
Yeah.
to doing it.
I'd love to know a bit about kind of your experience with EVV before FieldWorker and how you found the process of getting set up to be EVV compliant with FieldWorker.
So again, like you said, we weren't always mandated to have that function, that EVV function. When we knew that it was coming, we have an opportunity. The Medicaid has a company that they work with, that we are allowed to work with.
Yeah.
And I found it very hard to use their software. It wasn't very intuitive. Everything seemed like an extra step, kind of hard, actually very hard to learn, complicated, overly complicated. So as soon as we realized it was coming, we started looking for a third party vendor. And that's when we found FieldWorker, and we've been with them ever since. And again, they actually, you know, as we would go along, they're customized things. Even now, they're still customizing things, changing things to fit, you know, what we need. And it's been working really well.
When you were looking for case management software, were there any other kind of functionalities or features or anything like that that you were looking for that was important for your agency?
Well, again, that was one of the main issues with the original vendor that works with Medicaid. You can't customize anything. Obviously,
Yeah.
they're not open to really making changes, especially not changes on the go. Maybe changes down, you know, a year down the road if a lot of people request them. But I just wanted, we as an agency, we wanted something very simple for the staff, basically as if, you know, a time clock where you go and you punch in and punch out physically, but in the phone, which, you know, everyone has now. Everything's already set up for them. The GPS stuff is already set up in the background. Everything's in the background. So they don't really have to do anything except for clock in, be where they're supposed to be, and when they clock out, be where they're supposed to be. It's really as simple as that. We wanted it to be, we didn't want them to have to even think about any of the background tech stuff. And that's how it's set up. There's no issues where they have to worry about anything else but hitting the button, like you said.
When you decided then to start using FieldWorker, could you tell me a little bit about your experience of getting onboarded and the support you received with getting set up?
Absolutely. So we originally started our journey with FieldWorker through Anne was the first one who really took us under her wing, did all the background stuff, got everything started. And then we started to do more of the technical stuff where I was involved with Sonny, who is amazing. You know, when there's a problem, he just seems to be able to figure it out, get it done, get it fixed. And that's how it started with Ann, and then more of the technical stuff with Sonny. And I probably deal with Sonny, you know, probably once a week at least, where if, you know, on my end where I have a question or something. But, you know, the tech support is above and beyond. With the other platform that works with Medicaid directly, you know, you're going in, you're emailing them a question. You're going to get a response shortly saying that they've received it, but you may not get an actual response for a week, which is not acceptable. Obviously, we're moving and doing things every minute. I call Sonny, you know, he calls me right back. I email him, he answers, he texts. So that is tremendously important to have a support staff that is available and actually available with answers and help when you need them real time.
I'd love to also talk a little bit about growth as well. So obviously with the new agency, and I think over the past few years, there's been a lot of, let's call it unexpected challenges with things like global pandemics and changes to face as a society. Maybe it's then a bit difficult to talk about growth. Could you talk a little bit about how kind of FieldWorker has kind of helped you in that area?
Well, it's definitely helped because it's made things easier for the staff. And, you know, they're the ones, along with the individuals that we serve, the staff, you know, they're out there, they're in the community, they're in the homes, under, you know, whatever pandemic protocols or that we have at the time. So again, them not having to worry about doing a lot of extra things for stuff other than servicing the individual, it makes a huge difference because we've worked, and I actually know other providers who work with other apps and similar to FieldWorker, where, you know, the staff is already under a lot of stress. It's a very stressful job, and then obviously being out there in the pandemic, going into other people's homes, just the fact that they don't have to worry about these extra things it's very helpful. And I've been given that feedback from other staff that, they've come from another provider, and using FieldWorker has just made things as easy as possible, where they can concentrate on the individual and everything that they need with the safety protocols and all of the governmental protocols. And they can worry about that stuff, the important stuff, and not have to worry about, fooling around with the app for 20 minutes because they can't clock in and now they're not getting paid. And it's just, it could be a very stressful situation for our staff.
Stress is also a very big topic at the
Sure.
minute. In addition to burnout as well, is a word we see used a lot of times, especially for those working in this field. Could you tell me a little bit about how you think maybe case management software like FieldWork can play a role in helping teams with this?
Well, like I said, I think it's vital because, when you can remove something from a staff member's plate, it's always helpful, obviously. I mean, there's such a, when you walk into an individual's home to provide services, it could be traumatic as soon as you walk in. You really don't know. Each individual is different. There may be some things that they're going through. It just takes that one extra thing off their plate. And, there's nothing worse than going to work all week and clocking in and out of your app, and you don't get paid. And then they say, well, you didn't clock in and out, but I did. And it's just terrible. So with FieldWorker, everything goes through like it's supposed to, everything picks up like it's supposed to, and it works like it's supposed to. And it just makes things much easier for us as owners, managers, supervisors, and the actual people that are in the field doing the work, and the individuals too, because it's not fair to the individual. You show up at their house and you have to step out for 20 minutes to call, someone because your app's not working and you're not able to clock in. That's not helpful to anyone.
I want to ask about records as well. So how has FieldWorker kind of changed the way you and your team deal with keeping records or accessing records?
Well, again, that's the background stuff that goes on. That is just does what it's supposed to. So I can go on anytime on my portal. I can check everything from, clock in, clock out times for my payroll purposes to, schedules. Each individual, I can map out exactly what they've done, not only this week, but last week, what they're due to do next week. So it's there in one central location. I'm not, panning back and forth through Excel sheets to try to keep the payroll correct, and, all these other pieces of software that I'm going to have to use to just run the business, when this does, a very, very high majority of what we need every day. It keeps track of it. It keeps it archived where I can have access to it. So it's very important.
Have you got anything else at all that you'd like to share about your experience with FieldWorker or the FieldWorker team at all?
Well, I know I touched on it a few times about the customer service, and again, the app, the technology, all that background stuff, very good, works like it's supposed to, which is, I guess, the biggest compliment you could give to any piece of software. Works like it's supposed to. But the customer service is just probably some of the best customer service that I've personally ever received from anything, any type of, whether it's with my car or my insurance or anything. It's some of the best customer service I've ever received. And, that makes things a lot easier on our end. When we know we have a problem, we make a phone call, we text, email, and not only do we get a call back or someone actually answers the phone, but they actually have solutions and they're ready to start, moving forward with different solutions right away. And it makes a big difference.
Excellent. That's everything I had to ask. Thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me today, Derek.
My pleasure.
Yeah, take care.